as women, we are very much part of the system, aren't we, as mothers and partners? One of the thoughts I was having is that, men's privilege is so apparent and so out there and been so much part of the dialogue lately. But women really have a different type of privilege, don't they? They have the privilege to feel strong in connection with others and to feel emotional and supported for the most part for that. And Esther, I'm wondering, with the message that you send to support men in opening up all parts of themselves, why do you think you're getting such pushback when you haven't gotten quite as much pushback in other ways?
There have been people when I wrote Mating in Captivity that had some questions about, the division between love and desire and the kind of model that was not necessarily embracing an attachment perspective as the central perspective of my thinking, but more a both and. I think I have had both and when I think about love and desire or between security and adventure, like Stephen Mitchell. I've had both and when I think about infidelity in terms of what it does to you, but also what it meant for me. And I have both and when I think about how we can create a more fruitful and prolific and positive culture of gender between the genders, all the genders on a whole fluid spectrum. I think the pushback is generally from people who are more either or. When it is people who like to see both and, I think that they can see it, for what it is. It doesn't mean it's the only model, but it means it's a thoughtful model. What I think is really relevant at this moment as well is that for a long time, masculinity and femininity were narrowly defined. Women have had half a century to break open the narrow categories. And this is a moment that is actually offering that opportunity for men as well. If the 20th century was the change of the women, the 21st century will be the century where the men adapt to the women that to changes that the women have made. And in the end, it is for the good of the collective. It's for everybody because it's interactive. It's interdependent parts. You can't change one without the other one adapting to it. And everybody knows in systemic thinking that when there is change, there are consequences to the change. And every time before we encourage people to change, we ask them how would they deal with the ambivalence of change. So women want men to change, but they have an ambivalence about that change as well, and that too needs to be included. And men would like to change, but they have an ambivalence about their own change because there are consequences to the change. And systemic thinking has understood that a long time. It dealt with that in family life all along, including the polarization. Every couples therapist knows to work with a polarized system. So we have something that is really valuable at this moment as therapists, as clinicians dealing with often, irreconcilable narratives and perspectives and experiences to really bring into the public space at